Good morning, everybody. Hope you can hear me loud and clear. Please, Halaji, just give me a thumbs up if you all can hear me loud and clear. Good morning, folks, wherever you are in the world, in the Gambia. Those of you dialing into this conference call from other parts of the world, our invited speakers. I'm Poncelet, Ileleji, CEO, JokkoLabs Banjul. I'm your host and moderator for this important session tagged Encrypt Gambia, the first event of the Internet Society of the Gambia under the new leadership of our President Halaji Sise and the current executive as they kickstart their term. And we definitely wish them very well in this new laudable task that they are going to do. We have all lived in these unusual times of since March 2020 dealing with COVID-19. So I will assume, and I 100% presume, that everybody is very familiar with the protocols that go with having online conference calls, because that's what all of us have had to deal with since March 2020 up until now, even though things are gradually picking up. But we all know the protocols about our mic being muted and stuff like that, and you use your raise your hand function when you want to ask questions. Without much ado, I will do some brief introductions, and we'll have, before the speakers are introduced and everything, I want us to please, in our own 1 minute silence, for the soul of Lajon Dao, who resurrected ISOC Gambia, and we lost him in November, as you all know. I think it's very important that we never forget our heroes, people that have worked with us, whether they are here or not. Lajo did great service as a scientist and in the work of ISO. May his blessed soul rest in peace. So let us just have a 1 minute silence for him, and then we proceed. Thank you very much for that 1 minute silence. I'm going to the Director of ICT, Mr. Amadou Yang, from the Ministry of Information, Communication and Infrastructure. I was just told by Halaji Sise he is bereaved, so he won't be opening this session today. Who will be opening this session will be Mr. Sanusi Drammeh. I can see him online already, the ICT project officer at the Ministry of Information, Communication and Infrastructure. Thank you very much. I just want to give acknowledgement of people who will be here or who are coming. The Central Bank of the Gambia, his IT manager, IT director and his team. The Gambia Standards for Bureau is director and his team. The head of the ICT Select Committee from the National Assembly, headed by Honorable Halaji Mbo. We have now the Makaira Max, known as Max Jonga, and his team, and from the Computer Security and Incident Response team of the Gambia. So welcome. I'm the Director of IT Gamtel Gamcel, Anna Sekasen, an AFNOC trainer with QCell and a reputable network engineer in the Gambia. She's supposed to be here. Head of the Computer Science Department of the American University, head of the Gambian Police Head of IT, the National Youth Council Director, President of ISOC, and President of ITAG, and all notable partners that have joined up the Hub, JokkoLabs, with ISOC in having this event. And for our wonderful speakers who have been waiting, Robin Wilton, Marcos, Adomey, thank you very much for joining us, and all the marvelous teams from ISOC Gambia who have managed to put this conference up within a short notice. As we all know, encryption has always existed from the beginning of time, going back to 1900 BC with what was discovered in an Egyptian tomb. And we all see what the Spartans did with it in the battlefields. And everything from ancient Greece that we all know with their intelligence and everything, and down to Julius Caesar using an encryption. And we saw the notable things that happened during the Second World War. We have Alan Turing. I have personally, he's one of my heroes, and I have one of my computer labs named after him. What he did in the Second World War in decrypting all the codes the Germans were sending. So it has always existed for time, and we have people that have worked on encryption up to the late 70s, 1977, thereabouts, when we had pretty good privacy and all those keys being developed. So it's something that we have to deal with, especially now that a lot of things are happening in the cloud, so you have to encrypt, you have to decrypt, Cryptography has become very big and very robust. For we here in the Gambia, we know that things are not the way they're supposed to be, especially within our public service. When security is not the top of priorities, and we still have a lot of our procurement processes going on free emails, you will know that it's not surprising that ISOC Gambia has really taken this a very important topic to discuss. And we have very amazing speakers in Mr. Robin Wilton from the Internet Society, who is the Senior Advisor for Internet Trust and Expertise, Online Privacy and Digital Identity. He's been in this business for over 30 years, and he's known, and trust and privacy is one of his big fortes, and especially with Internet of Things. Those are his focus. Now, we have Marcos Adomey from the AfricaCERT, who is also a track leader in AFNOC, doing stuff. And as Robin just noted, it is 35 years plus. So 3 decades and counting, 3 decades and a half and counting. Thank you, Robin. So we have, in terms of expertise, we have all those happening. We also should note that even the AfricaCERT that has existed, got incorporated in 2010. We have FIRST, that's the global CERT bodies. And when you look at what has happened globally and what we see happening within computer security, the word CERT itself is patented by Carnegie Mellon University, because they were the ones that were contracted by the US Department then, when we had a lot of malware that affected in the early days of the internet in 1988, that made the internet to go down then. So the patent is still held by Carnegie Mellon University in New York. And we also know that a good university now set up a sister university in Kigali, Rwanda. So it's a very good topic we are going into. I will allow the experts to handle it, and I'll hand over to Sanusi Drammeh to give an opening speech before we go to the experts talk. Over to you, Sanusi.
Thank you very much, Ponce, Chair. Please allow me 1 second. Let me put up my speech. First, I would like to say Bismillah. That means praising Allah, and also sending blessings to His Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Mr. Chair, Central Bank Director of IT and his team, the Gambia Standards Bureau Director, Honorable Alhaji Mbao of the National Assembly, Max, Head of the gmCSIRT, Director of ICT at MRC, Directors of IT, GAMTEL and GAMCEL, QCell, Ms. Anna Seka, Head of the Computer Science Department of the American International University, the President of ITAC, Madam Biran Donde, the Gambia Police Force Head of IT, Mr. Jibril Low, the National Youth Council Director, representatives from various ministries present, representatives from the private sector present, and representatives from the civil society, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I have the singular honor and privilege to express my delight and appreciation for being granted the opportunity to address this gathering. I must say that I am profoundly overwhelmed and appeased with this very important initiative. This is indeed a true demonstration of cross-sectoral, including civil society, collaboration, partnership, and cooperation in the realization of our common agenda, that is to strengthen cybersecurity. Mr. Chair, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the need or urge for the development of cybersecurity came to the fore globally as a result of the current unfolding cyber revolution and its implication on socio-economic development, taking into account, especially with the rise of the use of information and communication technologies during this COVID or pandemic period. This has affected several countries, in particular the Gambia. Even though cybersecurity is a new phenomenon in this part of the world, its importance cannot be underemphasized. Mr. Chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, cybersecurity in its entirety is an issue that I believe has not been given its due diligence as per deliberations, domestically and regionally, but in discussions as well as in application, when being compared to its impact on our various national and global security challenges. The struggle to maintain a safe and secure cyberspace must be pursued more vigorously and relentlessly without trailing behind in global cybersecurity advancements. Mr. Chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with the introduction of the African Coast to Europe submarine cable, we all know that the internet in the Gambia has increased more than tenfold, which has impacted the way people utilize the internet in the Gambia. With the overwhelming bandwidth at stake, cyber criminals have already started utilizing such opportunities, thereby abusing the true essence of the internet, and also making people victimizing people and organizations, resulting to the loss of trust and confidence in the use of ICTs, as well as, in some instances, economic loss. In addition to the African Coast to Europe cable, the country has completed its next generation network and also the national transmission backbone, which it intends to jealously guard from cyber attacks in addition to its submarine cable. Mr. Chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, these awakening and pertinent issues has resulted in my ministry's effort to undertake tremendous strides in stepping up against cyber threats. In 2016, the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure has received support through the World Bank funded West African Regional Communication Infrastructure Program, which is known as WASIP, to develop its first of its kind national cybersecurity strategy and action plan, which was expected to address cybersecurity challenges in the country as well as spell out international best practice by then. However, in 2019, my ministry rolled out a consultancy to formulate the ICT master plan of 2020 to 2024. As part of that assessment, the forced cybersecurity policy was developed. Alongside the National Cybersecurity Strategy and Action Plan was updated to reflect current realities. And this update came as a result of the cybersecurity model that was an assessment conducted by Oxford through the support of the World Bank. The cybersecurity strategy is it has already been validated, and we're looking forward for adoption. Mr. Chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the formulation of a national cybersecurity strategy is a key component of the implementations of the African Convention on Cybersecurity within the Global Cybersecurity Agenda and the ECOWAS Directive on the fight against cybercrime. We believe this strategy will therefore contribute to global crusade on cybersecurity, thereby positioning the Gambia to be more responsive to cyber attacks and related incidents at national, regional, and international levels. It will also serve as a guideline for international cooperation in the fight against cybercrime. And also, the ministry has taken this approach to enhance its cybersecurity response capacity by training its building the capacity of its personnel in order to better be prepared to tackle cyber threats. Mr. Chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I also inform you that the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure has recently signed an agreement with ITU to establish a computer security incident response team, which is currently near full operational and has already been established. This is intended to have the potential of monitoring and responding to cyber threats in a bid to secure critical national infrastructure. Mr. Chair, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that the Gambia already has existing legal frameworks, such as the Information and Communication Act of 2019, that encompasses various information society issues as well as provisions for cybercrime, though they are not very comprehensive, and computer misuse, electronic transactions, personal data protection and privacy, electronic government and universal access and services, among others. These legal and regulatory provisions are all consistent with the principles and actions agreed under the World Summit on the Information Society. Also, these provisions and framework, in addition to the strategy, would serve as an enabling and guiding environment in the attainment of a secure and safe cyberspace. You may wish to note that also under the National Development Plan, it has recommendations to strengthen cybersecurity. And in those recommendations, it involves putting in place a national cybersecurity strategy, as well as building the capacity of personnel and also establishing a CSIRT. However, the cybercrime bill, we have a cybercrime bill in place that is validated, and looking forward to tabling it at the National Assembly, which is more comprehensive. So with that, we will pull that away. We will pull the cybercrime component away from the IC Act and have it as a standalone, and which has provisions, of course, for offenses, criminal offenses, procedural matters, and also international cooperation. With that cybercrime bill being validated, we hope that that will take care of most of the cyber crime, or it was going to push our efforts in the fight against cybercrime. Mr. Chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, however, there are other serious challenges that need to be addressed to enable us effectively tackle this digital epidemic, such as issues of awareness, best practice, and expertise regarding cybersecurity. Capacity building must be strengthened, including the adoption of encryption standards and practices. Advocacy awareness campaigns must be reinforced as time is ticking and ticking fast in this digital age. I believe this workshop, with the guidance of our experts, would avail us the opportunity, and as part of their presentation, to take us through the best practices as part of this important workshop. Mr. Chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the speed and intensity in which ICT's development is overwhelming much more the threats it carries along. I believe that there is an unprecedented opportunity out there that we can leverage upon by making our cyberspace safe, our people safe, and our our community is safe. Finally, Mr. Chair, I would like to take this opportunity to encourage all and sundry to give their valuable inputs in this forum so as to share ideas and learn from each other. With that said, I thank you all for your kind attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sanusi. Thank you for that wonderful speech and for the great work the ministry is doing. But we, in trying to do, what will I say, correct all the wrongs and fixing what is to be fixed, especially knowing where we're coming from 22 years ago, you know. In 2014, the Malambo Convention from the African Union on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection was adopted, you know. We have Senegal, we have Mauritius, we have Namibia, we have Guinea-Conakry, we have Rwanda, Gambia, Max, Halaji and his team, Sanusi, you guys at the ministry, you have been doing a great work, but we have still not signed. We have still not signed that convention. And we shouldn't be deceiving ourselves and be talking about cybersecurity here when they say charity begins at home. So I will encourage the ministry to make sure that all the work Alaji and team from ISOC, the Gambian CERT team, they are doing, ITAG is doing to promote, the Gambian Cyber Security Alliance are doing to promote cybersecurity in our country for our children yet unborn and for those working shouldn't be undone, because us not signing this convention, and we have our neighbors in Senegal signing this convention, how do you work on bilateral agreements in terms of when cyber crimes and things are hacked? Because at the African level, we have not done anything. And it's, yes, 2014, we won't sign it, knowing the kind of president we had then, but it's now 5 years. So Sanusi, I hope this is done on behalf of people of the Gambia and children of the Gambia. So Halaji, over to you, and I have to acknowledge Mr. Edem, the president of the Internet Society of Senegal. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Edem, and it's good you are here because Senegal is one of the first countries that ratified that Malabo Convention. So Halaji, over to you for a brief speech, then Edem, and I will hand over to Robin. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I wouldn't really make a speech, just to welcome and thank everybody, every stakeholder, every participant whose presence is here today. Looking at the time, I would just allow we proceed to the next item, so we can definitely proceed once.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So let us proceed. So Mr. Adam, you will talk later, please. Robin, over to you now to deliver your speech, your presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can both hear me and see the slide that I've put up. Ileleji, can you hear and see?
I can hear, but
yes,
I cannot see slides, but I can Robin, see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the slide is up also.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, again, good morning, everyone. And thank you so much to the chapter for kindly inviting me to come and speak today. And to everyone who's turned up. I see we have 7 screens worth, so we must be over 60 participants. And that's a testament to the work that the chapter's doing. So well done. I'm also grateful to Sanusi for his very elegant introduction and comprehensive background to the work that the Gambia is doing in this area. My Interactions with the Gambia up to now have been minimal, but I have to say I was proud and delighted to have worked with the African Union Commission to develop data protection guidelines as a follow-up to the Malabo Convention. And I'd absolutely echo Poncelet's encouragement to sign that convention as soon as possible. And I see also that Sanusi has said in the chat that that's in process. I mean, setting up the CSIRTs and getting a properly resourced data protection supervisor in place, that's actually the hard part. So I would encourage those responsible to capitalize on that work and do the easy bit, which is to sign up to to ratify the convention and sign it. That said, I'm not here to talk about the Malabo Convention as such, but to give you an idea of the Internet Society's work on encryption, why we think it's important, and what we can put at your disposal so that you can, as we hope, help us to make that work a success. So I will speak relatively briefly about the encryption project that the Internet Society is engaged in currently. I'll describe our campaign approach and some of the steps in which we hope you can also get involved. So just as a high-level view, the Internet Society's mission broadly falls into two parts. One is about internet growth, making sure that the internet extends into those parts of society and those parts of the planet that it hasn't yet reached. And so developments like the installation of new submarine cables are an important part of that infrastructure, capacity building. But also, of course, a submarine cable in itself is no use to the individual. It has to be supplemented by things like internet exchange points, and we have programs to install and build those where communities and countries need help to do so. The other half of our mission is to do with making sure that the internet is strong, because it's no use having the internet infrastructure in place if your access to the things on the internet is also unreliable. And that means reliability in terms of resilience, accessibility, and also, of course, security and trust. Because again, there's no point delivering the internet if people's access to services through that mechanism isn't trustworthy. And encryption is an important part of building trust, as Sanusi has already said. Cybersecurity as the overarching umbrella for trust, and then encryption as one of the tools for building and ensuring it. Just very quickly, what do I mean by encryption? Well, encryption is the process of enciphering or scrambling data so that either while it's stored or while it's transmitted, a third party who is able to access that data can't understand it. I think it's important to distinguish between encryption as a confidentiality mechanism and encryption in terms of preventing access, because those two things are different. Encryption doesn't stop someone accessing your data, it stops them from understanding it if they can access it. If you want to stop people accessing your data in the first place, you need other things like authentication, authorization, and access control. And those are related but separate disciplines. So it's important to recall that encryption is a data security mechanism which provides confidentiality. That is, if I want to exchange data with Poncelet and I encrypt it, someone else may be able to see that encrypted message go past, but if they look at it, it won't make sense to them. So that's the confidentiality aspect. I am confident that only Poncelet has the means to return that message to its unencrypted form. Now, of course, that means that he and I need to share the key, me to lock it and him to unlock it. And as one of my former colleagues said in a previous job, actually, encrypting stuff is the easy part. The difficult part is controlling access to the keys. That said, encryption as a mechanism underpins other data security services, including data integrity and digital signatures. So the ability to check that the data in transition or in storage hasn't been changed by someone else. And it also underpins authentication, because when we exchange authentication values, it's important to recognize, to be able to establish that they came from the right person and that they haven't been changed. So encryption is actually crucial to many of these other IT security and data security functionalities. If we look at this at the macro level, encryption is important because it underpins the security of so many industry sectors and elements of national infrastructure. It helps companies protect their financial and intellectual property. I think we all know that companies in a competitive environment can be under threat from other companies or even from the governments of other states trying to access confidential information, product designs, product plans, financial data, and so on. And encryption is an important part of protecting that information. Similarly, the more digital our lives become, the more we depend on digital controls in things like manufacturing industry, energy, water, transportation, and of course telecommunications. All of those infrastructure services, many of which are critical national infrastructure elements, depend on the ability to act online, to transact digitally, to store and transmit information safely. And then there are the more obvious applications, such as financial systems. Whenever we withdraw money from an ATM, whenever we make a card payment, whenever we pay online, those transactions are secured by encryption. So the implications if encryption is unsafe or compromised are really severe at the national level. Our strong belief is that if encryption is not accessible or not reliable, then personal and national security are put at risk. But let's look at it in slightly more personal terms. The things that we do throughout the day also depend on encryption. If I unlock my car door remotely, the signal between the key and the car is encrypted. And that's necessary because if it's not encrypted, someone can sit in a car park recording the signal between keys and cars and then replay it and steal the car. We've all seen headlines in the last year or two about the possibility of remotely influencing a car that is driving along the road. Because that vehicle is connected, it's possible under some circumstances to intercept the communication from the vehicle and to send it commands as to what to do to, for example, stop or start the engine. And so even for things like motor transport, encryption is part of the infrastructure that keeps those things safe. I mentioned card payments also, but when you drive to the petrol station to fill up, the pump that you fill up with is no longer usually actually connected by cable to the payment till. There's a wireless connection between the two. And that is secured by encryption because you want to make sure that the amount of petrol and the amount of money that's recorded at the pump is safely and accurately transmitted to the payment till. I mean, if I could change that so that I got all the petrol and paid none of the money, I would be happy, but the garage and the fuel company wouldn't be terribly happy. So that it's in their interest to secure that communication as well. And in our daily lives, authenticating to your phone or tablet, connecting your phone to the network, authenticating to your Wi-Fi at home, all of those authentication processes are underpinned by encryption. Where you've stored passwords, if you store passwords in your browser or on your laptop, they are stored encrypted. And so when you enter a password to unlock that, you're entering a key which the operating system is using to secure that data. And all of us, I think, under the conditions of the pandemic, have spent much more of our lives online. We've used things like Zoom to do business meetings like this, whereas previously I might have had the amazing opportunity to visit the Gambia, but I hope that'll come again. We've used Zoom to stay in touch with our families and our friends. We've used secure shopping to avoid having to go out in public and potentially transmit the virus. So even our lives these days are so much more entwined with the internet that encryption permeates everything we do. But this is not an entirely happy picture. From my perspective, encryption is under threat, and it takes many forms. In particular, we are seeing attempts by more and more governments to restrict access to strong, reliable encryption, with various justifications put forward. So, for example, governments cite crimes such as terrorism, people trafficking, money laundering, transmission of drugs, and in particular child abuse, as reasons why encrypted content is unhelpful for law enforcement, and therefore as reasons why access to strong encryption should be qualified, and in some cases undermined, and in a few cases even denied. And while I absolutely understand the need of law enforcement authorities to do their job, the job of law enforcement in society has never been an unqualified or unrestricted one. Law enforcement in a society operates under constraints and for good democratic reasons. And so I think we can legitimately ask whether it's reasonable for access to encryption or access to confidential communication should be denied in order to serve the interests of law enforcement. There are arguments on both sides, and this is not an easy case. But in my view, and I think the view of the Internet Society as a whole, the damage done if we undermine encryption is a serious one. It puts society as a whole at risk, and it risks creating multiple problems for the sake of trying to solve certain problems of a minority of criminals. So, as I say, it's a difficult argument, it's a nuanced argument, but it's a discussion that must be had in a democracy. What we have done is to look at the technical threats to encryption, from things like key escrow, man-in-the-middle attacks, the so-called ghost proposal, and I will describe a little bit what those are. But our approach has been to analyze those forms of law enforcement access to encrypted data and assess whether they are feasible, what harm they do to other mechanisms and security services, functionality online, and therefore whether it's a reasonable trade-off to put those measures in place and potentially to undermine encryption, balanced against the law enforcement justification. So just very quickly, by key escrow, what I mean is that if Poncelet and I want to exchange encrypted data, we can encrypt our data, but we have to lodge the key that we use, or part of it, with a third party. So if access to our encrypted conversation is required by a court order, for example, the court can apply to that third party and say, please give us the key to Robin and Poncelet's conversation because we need access to it. So that's key escrow. Man in the middle means that there's a technical means for someone to sit in the conversation between me and Poncelet, so that when we exchange our secure encryption key, the man in the middle gets a copy of that key automatically. And this is the basis of some law enforcement access proposals, one of which is called the so-called ghost protocol. The ghost protocol is aimed principally at encrypted encrypted chat, including group chat. And the idea here is that a law enforcement entity sits in that conversation, passively receives the keys that are used to encrypt it, and doesn't appear or take part in the conversation, but can listen to it. So it's essentially a silent listener. So, as I say, what we have done is we've looked at those lawful access techniques or exceptional access techniques. We've assessed them from a technical point of view, and written several briefing papers and technical explanations as to why we think that those do damage beyond their intended purpose. And I'll come on later to give you a link to that, that set of resources. But fundamentally, from a technical point of view, the technical community has been consistent in its response here. It is that when you put a backdoor into an encryption system, there is no safe way to do that. There's no safe way to design a backdoor that only the good guys can use. A backdoor in an encryption system is a vulnerability designed into the system. And to that extent, it undermines the purpose of an encryption system in delivering confidentiality and data integrity. And there have been several examples of where such intentionally introduced flaws in encryption systems have been discovered by malicious actors and then exploited. And the same thing applies to so-called government hacking or lawful hacking. This is an attempt to get onto the client device so that you can access data before it's even encrypted. That way the encryption mechanism stays in place because it's now irrelevant. You have access to the data before it has got there. And again, there have been instances, some of them recently publicized, where that kind of hacking tool has been discovered by malicious actors and then used for malicious purposes. So while we understand the rationale behind creating these backdoors and these hacking tools, we are very conscious of the risk that they bring with them, and we think that that risk must be analysed and balanced against the intended purpose of these measures. And interestingly, even the legislators in some cases, and even the heads, for example, in the UK, a former head of GCHQ, the Government Intelligence Interception Service, the former head of the National Cybersecurity Centre, have all said, actually, we don't think that these are the best way to attack this problem. And as you can see on the slide here, the US legislator saying, if there's exceptional access, it will be hacked, it will be used, and you just can't make it totally secure. So as I said, we've written some reference documents on this and some explanations, and I will post a link to that at the end of this presentation. So I will speed up a little bit, and just to give you an idea of the way that we're approaching this, we have a weekly internal catch-up meeting where we look at a hotspot map of the world to see what policies are being brought forward relating to encryption, so that we can assess whether our intervention is necessary or desirable. Obviously, with so many policy initiatives happening around the world, we've had to take a focused approach. And so currently on this slide, you can see the particular countries and regions that we're focused on at the moment. But that's not to say the others are unimportant. It's just that we looked at these and concluded that if things were happening in these countries, they were at risk of spreading to other countries too, and therefore we needed to understand them and, if necessary, develop a response. If you want any more information about our focus areas, there's a URL on this slide, and you're welcome to explore the materials that are there. We've taken a campaign approach here. We want to establish thought leadership. We want to recruit supporters. We want to raise heroes, because there's nothing that gets a message through like having someone that people understand, know, trust, and recognize put across a message that is important to them. someone described this as what we need is the David Attenborough for encryption, because he did such great work on the ecology and on plastic in oceans that it got the message out in a way that people understood. So we want to raise new heroes and equip them to carry that message out. And finally, we are collaborating with and empowering our community so that they can help create change in their communities and environments too. I won't go through these in detail because, again, these are resources which are available to you online. But as you can see, there's a full range of print media, online videos, recorded courses, and so on. And finally, we are recruiting a coalition of stakeholders from whichever segment of society or whichever organization to help us understand all of the stakeholder perspectives here with ISOC's traditional multi-stakeholder approach. And there will be a recruiting call at the end of this presentation with a URL for you to visit as well. As I say, we're trying to put the means to understand this in your hands. And earlier this year, we conducted training for several chapters, reached a decent number of people, and recordings of those sessions are available online in English, French, and Spanish. If you have a requirement for other languages, so for example, if Arabic or Portuguese in Africa are of particular importance, let us know and we'll see what we can do. And really what this is all aimed at is helping the community understand the issues here and helping to mobilize them so that they can represent their interests effectively. So where to go next? Well, one really interesting place to go is to this status map, which is hosted by Global Partners Digital. And Global Partners Digital are one of the founder members of the Global Encryption Coalition. This is an interactive map where you can go to find what the status is relating to encryption in terms of policy, in terms of rights, in terms of restrictions in any country on the planet. Well, I say any country, but if your country is not represented on here and you can help fill in the details, please do so. And then finally, our call to action. As a chapter, if you're not already in the Global Encryption Coalition, please take a look and sign up if you consider that it's well aligned with your objectives. If you know other organizations or stakeholders who you think would be valuable contributors to that coalition, or simply who you think ought to know what it's doing, then please help us recruit organizations to it. And do take advantage of those encryption training materials that we developed earlier this year. This presentation and the links in it will all be available to you because I'll make sure that Ileleji has those. So I think that is my last slide. We have a homepage for encryption. We have a homepage for the Connect community, and you're welcome to visit those, exploit the resources, sign up, and please help us with this important work. And with that, thank you again for the invitation. I really appreciate it. It's a privilege to be able to talk to you, and I hope we'll have time for questions later in the session. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Robin. Very impressive presentation, and those of you who are ISOC Gambia chapters or have not yet become ISOC members, I encourage you to join. ISOC has really been doing great work globally. I've been a global member for quite a while, and I know the work they've been doing, especially with the work they're doing within this campaign approach and evolution of stakeholders. So you have the global partners digital, he mentioned GPD based in the UK, who has this global encryption status maps. I've been working with the GPD for a while now within their cybersecurity coalition, whereby we have a lot of meetings with a lot of stakeholders. So that's something good. But the most important thing we should note from Robin's presentation is encryption secures your daily routine. As long as you appreciate that encryption secures your daily routine, there's no question why all those resources we share later will not be important to you. We should also take notice that he mentioned of some of the works they do on encryption hotspots. You see in Brazil, misinformation, traceability. In the Gambia, we know the sort of government they have had in Brazil. Quite similar to what we have the Americans that have just succeeded in kicking out 45 in the US. You know, we also know what misinformation can do to us as a country. We head into our elections next year. So these are things, so these encryption hotspots, I will encourage people to look at it, especially those from the global south, like what is happening in Brazil, what is happening in India, and try for us to relate it to our own context. Before we go into questions, I will now invite Mr. Marcus Adomey, you know, and it's very also good to hear from our African set, especially now that we have our own Gambian sets. And I will, before Marcus comes, I've been looking at the sets website for the last AfricaCERT website for the last 5 months since Max has got this the gmCSIRT going, and I've seen that Gambia, our membership is not yet there. So I'd like to know what is happening with that. You know. So over to you, Marcus. Marcus, can you hear me?
Hello, Ponce.
Yes.
Do we have any questions for Robin, or should we proceed?
No. We do the 2 presentations, then take the questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So that is what I said before I called on Marcus.
Okay,
I think
thank you.
So you know, because I know a lot of people will have a lot of questions for Robin. But so let us just get ourselves prepared and let everybody digest the presentation. Yeah. Marcus, are you there?
Yeah, I'm setting up. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Your screen is not yet showing.
Okay.
We are all excited to hear what is happening within the African front, so we are waiting for you. So
I think. Can you see it now?
No.
What should we do? But meanwhile, I'm sharing it.
Technical team.
Okay, let me see. Okay.
Okay, it's coming now. Yes.
See me now? Okay, yes.
Okay, you're good to go.
Good, thank you. My name is Marcus Adomey. I'm one of the instructors at AfricaCERT. I'm going to talk about computer security incident response team in our economy, focus with the role they are playing or they are supposed to play. But before I talk about the role they play in our economy, I will explain CSIRT a little bit, because over time you've noticed that there's a confusion about what CSIRT is exactly. So I'm going to spend some time to talk about it. Now, before I go to the CSIRT, that's a computer security incident response team, I will talk briefly about cyberspace and the internet, then cybercrime and cybersecurity. Why these two? Because CSIRT's domain of intervention is the cyberspace, and we deal with cyber crime. So we need to understand where we fall exactly. Then I'll go over the constituencies and then the services provided by CERT and how we work as a team. Then I will look at the importance of CERT and then the philosophy, how we work, because you can have a CERT, but if you don't abide with certain principles, I'm afraid you will be a CERT in isolation who do not be an effective CERT. Now, cyberspace and the internet. I would say straight away that we should not confuse cyberspace with the internet. Rather, internet is the basis of the cyberspace. We know it's the global, that's the internet, the global, just a moment, the global interconnected private, public, academic, business, and government networks. It uses internet protocol suites, TCP/IP, to link several billions of devices worldwide. But cyberspace is known as what? Virtual space, non-physical space, online world, virtual locations, imaginary place, on the internet, etc., etc. But it's a boundless virtual place created through the use of the internet where services are provided. So cyberspace is enabled by the internet. When there's no internet, that is our hardware, TCP, IP protocols, the services and the applications, we don't have cyberspace. Now, internet is created, it's good, service is there. We enjoy our life there because we move it from the real world, the physical world, to the virtual space. Unfortunately for us, the bad guys in the physical space also move with us, the good guys, to the cyberspace to commit their crime. And there are several definitions of cybercrime, but I've selected this one, which says that cybercrime or computer-related crime is a crime that involves a computer network, and the computer is used to commission the crime or maybe the target. 2 points. Either it is used to commit the crime or is the target itself. And I selected this definition because it's better to use it to explain CERT, our domain intervention, because the business of CERT is to protect the internet, and then when it is used to commit a crime. There are several cases of cybercrime. I'll mention a few of them in the history. I think you know about Estonia DDoS attack because of a soldier bronze statue which was placed in the middle of Tallinn, that's the capital town of Estonia. That statue was there during the occupation of Soviet Union. So after the dislocation of Soviet Union, the nationalists were of the view that that statue represents an oppression. So they move it to a cemetery. You can see it on the other side. And when they decided to do that, Russians protested and they move on. Yes, for 3 good weeks in 2007, April, they were under severe attack. Internet was no more available to use. Meanwhile, Estonia is one of the countries, the most wired countries in Europe, and they use it intensively to do business. And then one of the comments was by a journalist called Tulian. She wrote this: I felt the country was under attack by an invisible enemy. It was extremely frightening and uncontrollable because we are used to having internet all the time, and suddenly it was no more around. You couldn't get information. You couldn't do your job. You couldn't reach the bank. You couldn't check the bus schedule anymore. It was just confusing and frightening. But we didn't realize that it was a war because nobody had seen anything like that before. What I am today, without internet, I cannot do anything. And I'm sure it's the same thing for almost everybody. So this kind of attack, I mean, it's a job of CSIRT to do. And to handle this particular attack, you need the international collaboration. I'll keep on chipping in the role of CSIRT, what it's supposed to do till I come to its definitions. Now, in 2010, we heard that there is a worm called Stuxnet, which was exploiting some vulnerability in the system used to build a nuclear plant in Iran. And it was meant to go and destroy the plant. I don't know whether it's going to blast it or whatever it's going to do. This is serious. In 2011, ATM machine in Australia, Commonwealth Bank, was attacked and then splitting money. Well, to protect the image of the bank said it was a glitch. Meanwhile, experts confirmed that it was hacking. Well, this is where CERT is going to come in to address that issue. It's an attack. Inappropriate use, that's the phishing. They use the internet to get login password of a system, especially your credit card details, to go and then get your account, siphon money out of it. We also have cyberbullying. So all this, they are using computers now to attack. Now it's no more directed towards the computer, but computer is used or the internet is used to commit a crime. Well, there's another one which I decided to put here, which is also not a cyber crime directly, but it's a social engineering, but it is used to get information and to commit a crime. Like in sugar surfing, as you can see on the screen, the gentleman behind is copying the password or whatever the lady is typing and use it later. On the other side, the guy is using the his mobile phone to copy, to record the PIN when the man was entering it on the ATM machine. There are other types of inappropriate use. You have the phishing, as mentioned, the email spamming, biting, phishing, smishing, water holding, quid pro quo, tailgating, pretesting, and unwanted surveillance, cyberbullying, child pornography, cyber stalking, identity theft, scamming, transaction fraud, advanced fee fraud, impersonation, social engineering. There are a lot. So these are some of the crime. You know, it's like we are now with this internet in cyberspace, we move from the old world to a new world, old one in a new bottle. All those crimes were in the physical world. Now they are moved to physical world. What should we do? We need security measures. Unfortunately, there's no clear-cut definition of cyber security. But security in general is a process. You can't have 100% security. It's a process. The day somebody will tell you that my system is secure 100%, if that they're telling him that he doesn't know what is my fault. But if it's your employee, if you can fire him, it's allowed. But cyber security or security in general, as I said, there's no clear-cut definitions. But it's defined based on three features. We call them CIA: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. You know them. Now, cryptography has added another one, which is called non-repudiation. That is the fact of denying that you are the author of an act or something, of an event on the internet. Now, the solution is what? We know that cyber crime or computer security response do not respect geographical, time zone, any administrative boundaries on the global internet. It's becoming more and more complex and sophisticated. It involves many sites which may be located in various places around the world, and which solution requires collaboration. So one of the solutions is to create a computer security incident responsive team and manage it appropriately. I'll talk about the is free very soon. So what is a computer security incident response team? It is an organization that provides to a defined constituency services and support for both preventing and responding to computer security incidents. There are several definitions, but I like this because it has some parameters that I will talk about. That is, they are the constituency and then incidents, services and supports, which are in two folds: the responding and then the preventing. How CSIRTs came into being? In 1998, 2nd November, you can see on the board, the gentleman called Robert Morris, a student of Cornell University, developed out of his boredom, developed a worm based because he identified a vulnerability in the send mail, then developed a worm that exploited. And at that time, 10% of computers on the internet were crippled, were affected. No way you could use them. Well, the gentleman did that in MIT. It happened on the 2nd November 1998. So it took international collaboration, waste of resources, that's time, money, and so many things to bring that control worm under control on the 8th November. So as part of the recommendation, CERT-CC was created on the 17th November. So what is important is they were able to bring it under control through international collaboration characterized by waste of resources. Well, the guy was arrested and then dealt with in their manner. CSIRTs, I mentioned constituency. What's a constituency of a CERT? Is that organization or group of organization whose people whose incidents CSIRT handles or coordinates. That's organization. When you have critical assets connected to the internet, you need a CSIRT to protect it for you. And those constituencies can be governments. Governments, for instance, can have a group of, how do we call it, CERTs. That is finance CERT, health CERT, Ministry of Communication CERT, health sector CERT, so many CERTs. They can be under one umbrella called government CERT. Military can have their CERT. Police can also have their CERT. National security can have their CERT. Immigration can have their CERT. Academic universities, they can also have their CERT. Internet service providers, banks, industries, I mean, we must have, yes, our CERTs. So this one is looking at those we are working for. But within your community, how are you looking at your CERT? Which feature does it have? Which characteristics does it have? It can be a regional CERT that is at a global level. I'll mention first, and then AfricaCERT. I'll talk about them later. We have national CERTs where there are issues with that. I think I will touch it a little bit. I will ask some rhetorical questions, and then everyone will think so that we see how best we can reorganize ourselves. We have sectorial CERTs. I was mentioning government. Government can have their CERTs, and then under that CERT, we have the various CERTs. Let's say Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, all the CERTs, those working in my country, Ghana, for instance, they have, government has a network, all the government agencies and people are connected to it. There is a CERT And they are supposed to, and then that, the manager, they have a set who are supposed to ensure security on their network. We have organizational set, that is, let's take for instance, my university, University of Ghana. If you have a CSIRT, it's an organizational set. A bank, for instance, Ghana Commercial Bank is one of the banks. Eco Bank, Ghana, they must have their set to protect their critical assets connected to the internet. Vendors, they are having their sets to protect for their product. Whenever there's an incident related to their product, the vendor is supposed to move in and address it. Commercial, these are the new sets that are coming up, people creating sets to render services. If your organization is not that big, but you must protect your infrastructure, commercial sets are there to support. As I said, everybody must have, every organization must have their CSIRT. As far as you are connected to the internet, and you have, you have your critical assets connected to the internet. Bank, they must have it. Academic institutions must also have it. Police, to do their business in the cyberspace, must also have a CSIRT to protect their critical assets they use to do their business in the cyberspace. Military, the same thing. National security, they do their surveillance of the country, but system they use to do that must be protected with their CSIRT. The impression people have about CSIRT is, it is an organization that does surveillance, poke into people's privacy. No, that is totally not true. CSIRT is there to protect the critical assets of organizations which are connected to the internet. I'm repeating this. Every organization must have the CSIRT. CSIRT is not meant for surveillance, but to protect the critical assets connected to the internet of each organization. That's why national security, they must have it. If they want to do the surveillance, fine, they should do it. But the CSIRT must protect their assets so that they can do their surveillance in the cyberspace. Services. A service is a set of recognizable, coherent function oriented towards a specific result. Such result may be expected or required by constituents or on behalf of or for the stakeholder of an entity. Each service has a description, the purpose, and the outcome of that service. This definition is coming from first. The services are categorized into two groups. The reactive, that is, we have alert and warning when there's an incident. The CSIRT must quickly issue an alert and warnings. Must handle the incident. There are ways to go about it. They have several steps. I'll spare that one. Vulnerability handling. These are some of the issues we have in most of the African countries. Our ecosystems is full of systems with vulnerabilities. We use operating systems that are not licensed. We use software that are not licensed. And when there's an update by the developer of the system, we don't get it. And it renders the entire ecosystem, internet ecosystem or cyberspace vulnerable. Artifact handling. That's virus, the malware in general. When there's any malware attack, the service provided or the CSIRT is supposed to provide that service. Proactive services, announcements, technology watch, security audit or assessment. They are supposed to also configure, do a maintenance of security tools applications and infrastructures, development of security tools. They are supposed to do intrusion detection, providing intrusion detection services or service or security-related information dissemination. Concerning the service quality, security quality management service, we have risk analysis, business continuity and disaster recovery planning, security consulting, security awareness building, education and training, product evaluation or certification. These are some of the services they are supposed to provide. I want to insist on this. CSIRT cannot do all of this. You can do some of them based on the requirement on the ground. When people want to create CSIRTs, they don't take stock and know that this is the service you are supposed to provide. In the fly, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to know. So many services that are not related to what they are doing on the ground, which is not aligned with the vision of their main organizations or their hosting organizations. So at the end of the day, they are there, they say we are doing this, we are doing that, they talk, but what they do, and they don't do it. They say they do, but it's not in a line, or they are not really providing services to their constituency. But there are mechanisms. If you don't know, get in touch with those who know for them to guide you and to take you through that study, which you must do periodically. Now, we are talking about services. We mentioned incident response, and we said, be aware of R, of CSIRT as a response. If you remember, I said the first incident was to respond to the incident, the Maurice Worm incident. So when you are creating your CSIRT, keep in mind that you must have at least one incident response service. Otherwise, you don't have a set. You are defeating the purpose of taking that name, which is incident response team. So please keep that in mind. CSIRT has several functionalities. We have missions, must be clear. The tools, the mission must be based on the services you are providing, what you do. The tools, you can go and buy a large screen, a monitor when your business is to get rid of a malware on PCs in your constituency. But before you can provide your services, you must, policy and procedure must back the service. You must have an authority. And there are 4 types of authorities. The full authority, whatever you say must be done. You have the sheer authority. Your system is part of the decision-making process. There's an incident. The set doesn't get up and say, we are doing this. This is the direction, the way to go. But as part of the management, you advise, and then it is implemented. And then no authority. That one, you advise. It's up to the CSIRT or the consultant to take it. And generally, this one is, that authority is part, the authority, the coordinating set has, the regional set has. Maybe a national set can have it. And the last one is the indirect authority. How does it go? That authority is exerted via a third party. Generally, the ISP, as an example, a regulator, can't deal directly with a client of an ISP. So the ISP instructs the regulator, let your constituency or your customer do this. Otherwise, this will happen. So that is the part of the authority. Organizational placement. Where should we place our CSIRT? There's no clear-cut rules for that. You must place it where it should be to be effective in your organization. When you look at some of the national CSIRTs, there are some, how should I say, there are issues there. People say, no, we should place it under national security because it's security. Or put it under police, no, under the presidency. No, the prime minister is the best. Well, that is where they think it should be to be effective. But my question with the national CERT is, what is national? It's a concept. What I've noticed all over Africa is, if the CERT is created by government, it's national. It won't go and then work or protect other organizations' business. And truly, they don't have resources to do that. They cannot hire staff, which I'm going to talk about, to go and do, to solve incidents for people. That's why everybody must have their CERT. I like giving this analogy. The businessman who sells spare parts, he doesn't need national police to come and stand in front of his gate, the gate of his shop, to protect his shop. He puts bugger-proof there, and at the same time, we hire some security guard to be there for him. So that confusion, let's take it out. We are supposed to be in charge of our own security. If eventually there's an organization, a consortium, an association of CSIRTs, we must be part of it, because cyber security, cyber crime, it requires collaboration. Must be together to solve it. I'll talk about it. Then I'll say staff of CSIRT. Well, staff, the kind of staff you need depends on the services you are providing. So everything, as I said, depends on the services you are providing to your constituency. Funding, the same thing. So please keep those in mind. Well, as I said, your CSIRT cannot be on its own. You must be part of a consortium or association. You must work together with other CSIRTs. We have a bilateral cooperation, team to team. So those ones, if you have the same objective, we do the same thing. We provide almost the same services. We are supposed to be together, and then work together and share information. After all, it's information sharing. We can have an association of CSIRTs that goes beyond just two, but we have the same objectives. We do things together. And then the association of associations. Several CSIRTs can come together with different objectives or different aims and come together and then protect the cyberspace. And then for that, we have a AfricaCERT and FIRST. AfricaCERT we funded in 1910. And it was launched in Rwanda during the AIS, Africa Internet Summit. It's a forum that brings together all the CSIRTs, and then we foster cooperation, coordination among incident response team to promote information sharing. So these are the following services: capacity building. We enable community of security professional and incident response team to work together, to collaborate at their level. We ensure access to knowledge, tools, and standards. Open and maintain dialogue with stakeholders in our ecosystems. First, that's a forum of incident response and security team. That's a global for the world. The vision is to aspire to bring together incident response team globally for across the world to ensure safe internet for all. To do that, they provide forum to facilitate trusted interaction among incident response team, security teams. They use the trusted, because it is based on trust. First, holds annual conferences for its members. Organize technical colloquia to provide discussion forum for members for information sharing about vulnerabilities, incident tools, and others. Members benefit from several tools within the CERT community, the first community. And then they support each other in incident handling. Roughly, these are some of the things first does. Well, let me talk a little bit about this. AfricaCERT, well, we know we are at the beginning, and then we make our joining AfricaCERT flexible, because we know that teams don't have what it takes to get to the top to be fully mature or fully operational. So when you join, AfricaCERT will assist you to become fully operational. But first, to join first, you must be fully operational. And condition to join first is really stringent. So that's the difference between us, AfricaCERT, and first. Now, to collaborate among teams that among CSIRT, the legal basis, for the cooperation is MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, contracts, term of reference, and non-disclosure agreement. The first three, I will not look at them, but I will look at the non-disclosure agreement because of trust issues. Non-disclosure agreements, or sometimes called confidential disclosure agreement, is a confidential agreement or secrecy agreement. And it's a legal contract document between at least two parties or more. And it outlines the confidential materials or knowledge the party wish to share with one another for a certain purpose, about or to wish to ensure how do we call it? Should I say confidentiality? I'll come back to that because there's a mechanism to go about it. So when information is tagged not to be disclosed, you are not supposed to disclose it. Let's take this example. Let's say two banks working together. The CSIRT of two banks working together. One is under attack, but the first one was attack. They had the same attack. So Bank B contacted Bank A, who was able to solve that problem. That, oh, we are under this attack. How did you solve it? And they share the information with you. Well, this is the way we went about it. This information is supposed to be strictly confidential. The next day, information shared by Bank A with Bank B is in the newspapers. Definitely, people will go and say, hey, our money is not safe with Bank A. They go and take their money away from that bank, close their bank account. It's going to affect that bank. But the set B is going to lose in terms of credibility in CSIRT community. Nobody is going to trust that set again because they will not share information with you. And when nobody shares information with you, that set is called to die. So trust is very, very important ingredient in CSIRT business. So to ensure that trust, there's a protocol, traffic light protocol, that must be used, and it is enforced through the use of encryption. Traffic light protocol is a set of designation used to ensure that sensitive information is shared with the appropriate audience. Was created in order to facilitate greater information sharing. It employs 4 colors to indicate expected sharing boundaries to be applied by the recipient. So, and then, well, it was developed by or approved by FIRST. As you can see on the screen, the red means information is not meant to be disclosed. It's sent to Bank B or Set B, and Set B is supposed to keep that information for him, or maybe by the team leader. That's all. Amber, color amber, is restricted to the set members. Green is limited to disclosure to the community. White means not limited at all. You can do whatever you want to do with it. But to ensure this, you must use encryption. That is the use of PGP. You create your private key, a public and a private key. So the public is in the public domain, and the private is owned by the organization. So whenever somebody is sending an information which is confidential, that's not be shared, it must be encrypted and sent to Set B. But to be sure that the public key belongs to so and so, it must be signed. Digital signature is what? The use of private key to sign somebody's public key. There's a mechanism to go about it to ascertain that this is a public key signed by Set A or so and so. Well, we are not in digital signature, but the fact of signing is like when you take your passports, your name is there, your picture is there. The director of passport office or your ID card, when he signs, he says the name, the one on the picture and the name there are the same person. Or the bearer of this is truly the one on the picture. Normally, we do keys signing through a party. There's a mechanism to go about it. I won't talk about that today. But the issue is, if I sign your key, and you also sign somebody's key, I'm supposed to trust the key you sign. So it means I can confidently communicate with the key, the person whose keys was signed by the one I signed. But the issue is how long the chain will be. So it's an issue with the web of trust, which is addressed by a key should be signed by several people to be trusted. Now, let's look at it from now the economy of CSIRT, the importance of CSIRT in our economy. What do we gain through CSIRT? We can look at it from 2 perspectives, having it and not having it. If you are set, what are you going to have? You have a centralized coordination for a point for incident handling. It minimizes and controls damage from computer security incidents. Quickly restore to operation after incident. Fix vulnerability quickly and thoroughly. Provide guidance for recovery. Work to prevent incidents from happening in the future. Strengthen security to avoid future incidents. Well, the sets, because in the set there is normally you have a legal expert who deals with legal issues. If you have a CERT, it protects the reputation of your organization, giving confidence. People will trust you or trust your organization and be willing to do business with you. Keep track of the development of in the security field. You know, in IT field in general, things have been developed at an exponential rate, and the security issues are also coming. So when you don't have a CERT who is abreast with the latest technology, the latest incidents, you are doomed. And it has the ability to bring together experts to analyze complex issues in cybersecurity. Now, if you don't have it, you are going to lose in terms of time. Don't forget that it is said that time is money. Money is going away, and confidence, your reputation, is also going away. The longer anything go unresolved, the more extensive damage it is to the organizations. Now, some figures to tell you what you will lose. In 2015, Cybercrime magazine reported that the cost of cybercrime is 3 trillion US dollars. And they are estimating that in 2025, it will be 10 trillion annually. Another organization called HelpNet Security predicted that next year, the cost of cyber crime per minute is 11.4 million US dollars. So let's see. I think having it is better than not having it at all, because what I'm going to lose will be more than what I will gain. Now, if you have a CERT and you want to work in a group, there are some philosophy I developed, and I name it philosophy of 5C, C bar over T. I will take you through one by one. The first one is the coordination. When there's an incident, you need to coordinate. Otherwise, you are there. Cooperation. You must sit down, sign an agreement on how to go about things, and you collaborate to implement those agreements. Complementarity. There's no way a CSIRT, I said it, will provide all the services. I can do this, you can do that, but we can complement and do it. When I have an issue, I'll call you. Some of the cyber, some of the solution to cyber crime or incident, you can be attacked, but the solution will come from far away. It's a matter of getting in touch with CSIRT in that constituency, and your problem will solve from there. If you don't have that complementarity or collaborate, you'll be there. If you are the cybersecurity expert in that organization and you don't have a CERT and they don't know you, even if they know you, but CERT, they work with CERT, your system is doomed. Confidentiality. Whenever an information is sent to you, please keep it confidential when it is required to do so. We don't do competition. I am the best CERT. It doesn't exist in CSIRT community, please. If you have that mentality, no. Focus on what you can do and do it well, so that people can trust you. If that is not there, the trust, forget it. So these are the things I want to talk about. And then I thank you for your attention. Questions?
Thank you, Marcus. very loaded presentation, you know, especially given the background in terms of what you need to do in getting the framework ready to set up a set and diverging into that every step of the framework. I was more concerned with, especially with the policies and procedures. But just a quick question, I asked it before you started your presentation. You know, we have the .gmCSIRT. I will allow Max to talk later. I don't see them as a member yet of the AfricaCERT. So I just wanted to ask you a question on that. And also, did you experience, being based in Ghana, did you experience any, did your set have to work harder during your election that just got concluded? And then we'll now open up to general questions. After those two questions from me, we have Robin. I hope you are ready with your questions, and you just put your hands up if you want to speak, or if you want to speak, or you put on your mic and speak. I'll be looking at the hands up. If you don't want to speak, you just want to type out the questions, you type out the questions and I'll read the questions. So Marcus, if you can help me with your two presentations.
Yeah, the first question is, your set is not part of AfricaCERT. It's a matter of sending us an email, and then we'll send them the procedure, the forms to fill, and then we find two sponsors that will usher them, and then that's all. It's not, we are not that complicated to join first. So to join AfricaCERT, it's a matter of putting the application. The forms are there. The site manager can send me an email. My email is with Ileleji. I can say marcus.adomey@africacert.org. Well, I can then share the decision with you, and then the process will start. And the second one, what I know is that our CSIRT was on guard to waiting for a serious incident. Incident in their domain to occur for them to intervene. There were issues people were talking about, but I don't think those issues were to me, they're allegations, or if they were true, because I haven't got enough information on that. If they were true, maybe they were not in the domain or part of the services provided by our CSIRT. As I said, you can't do all. You do some, and then you let people know that this is what I do, and then they will not hold you accountable for what you don't do. Thank you
very much. I have thanks, Marcus. I have three questions. People that have raised their hands. I'll take first from Makaira, then Dauda, and Joseph. So Makaira, over to you. Max.
Thank you very much, Ponce, for this.
Okay.
Thing.
Ayub, do you have your hands raised? Okay, I got you. Fourth question. Okay. Okay, Max, over to you, please.
Yeah, this is Max. Yeah, Ponce, thank you very much for the coordination. And I also want to express thanks to Marcus for the wonderful presentation he just concluded. At the tail end, there were a couple of questions. One was to do with the membership of AfricaCERT. And yes, I have already sent in the request for membership, and it's being processed. We sent it to Jean-Robert Adomey. That's his last name. I don't know how to pronounce that properly, but it's with Jean-Robert, and it's being also supported by ITU, the team that is rolling out the site in Gambia. Now I have your information. I will also be hounding you for the membership, for your assistance, as well as for FIRST, so that this can go through as quickly as possible. Just a comment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Max. I know you're always a spot-on man, so I just wanted to get clarity on that because I've been checking for the last 5 months and I was saying, what's happening? Why is Gambia not yet listed on the AfricaCERT? And I need the first. So thank you for that intervention. Please, can you put down your hands, Max? Next, Dauda, please. Dauda. Are the Dauda hands raised? I can't see him again, so I will go to Joseph for your question, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Poncelet. I want to thank the presenters. It's been very informative. My question goes to Marcus. It's like some of the services that are being rendered by CSIRTs can be done effectively by next generation firewalls. I think it is good to respond to security issues, but I personally think it's better to prevent them. So the system prevent security issues, or do they wait for the security to, the security issues to happen first and then they respond? So this is something I would like to ask.
I think I will take the question. I will take the so Marcus, answer the question, then I'll move to Ayuba, then Babuka. Jao.
Thank you. When I was presenting the services, I said to be a CERT, you must have at least one response services, at least one response service. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't go be proactive. So what you're talking about is to be proactive. And then the CSIRT must protect the critical assets connected to the internet of the organizations. So phishing firewall, checking out, monitoring the system, network monitoring, all the things that are possible to do to secure, to prevent the downtime or the attack must be done by the CSIRTs. I think I've answered your question.
Yes,
thank you very much. Yeah, okay. So Ayuba?
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, please.
Okay, so if you will allow me, I just want to briefly say thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And then I give my thanks and gratitude to the presenters. The presentations were like very vivid, clear, and very straightforward. And then I've captured a few things from it, which are very important. So I'm a Gambian. I'm a civil servant in the Gambia, but I recently resided in Indonesia for studies. I left Gambia since 2017. I'm planning to go back there sometime soon. Right. So with regards to cyber security, like Marcos was explaining, it is very important. And then to have a cyber security, first, I think we can all agree that you need an internet, right? And then since this gathering here today is basically mainly about Gambia, so as far as I know, when you look at Gambia right now, or before I left, the internet service there is still considered to be very low, right? So if you look at it, in a household in Gambia, probably only 20% household would have internet. And then people that use internet with their phones, in often cases, they would be, putting their internet data off almost the whole day, just because they are afraid of, exhausting their quota, like their data, and then having to buy another one again. And then if you look at also the institutions, which the cybersecurity is more focused on, like the economic and then the security of the data and resources and everything. If you look at established institutions, until now we still have some institutions that doesn't have their transactions online. like they don't have databases that would store their information. They don't do their transactions online. They have just ordinary, files that are just piled up in their offices, right? So that having said that, probably, or maybe you have some suggestions that you can, give to us Gambians on how we can do to improve our internet service, because already, like the first speaker, I forgot his name. Like he said, we have the submarine cable, which was there since before I left. And then I was a staff at GAMCEL. Pretty much I know, a thing or two about that submarine, but then still, internet isn't reached at the places, or most of the Gambian places that could use those, services. So if there are things that you might, explain or, give some advice on some aspect on which Gambia could, implement right now to get us to the next level, through which then we can be able to, be a part of the internet cyber security, the access or other things that are beautiful, and they're also very, very important for, a country or, internet users to have in their infrastructures. So that would be my question, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ayub. Ayub, you loaded a lot of things into one question. What's the time in Indonesia where you are? Thanks for the question. And I think I'll allow Marcos to take that later, and I'll also allow the president of ISOC Gambia also to respond to some of those things, because ISOC, as you know, that one of their reasons for their existence is regarding some of the questions you asked, which has to do with access and affordability and stuff like that. Buba Jao, over to you. Then Marcos and Alhaji can come in. Buba, I see your hands up. Buba Jao, Babuka Jao, sorry.
Hello, thank you, Ponce. My question is for Marcos, and I am Max's assistant. I am the deputy head of the gmCSIRT here, and we are still, we just set up the CERT here, and I'm just interested in knowing how, in Ghana, that is for Marcos, how they overcame the challenges of funding and capacity building. Because one of the biggest challenges I hear when I attend workshops online is getting management buy-in. Because senior management in most government departments and private organizations, are not aware of the importance of cybersecurity. So getting management buy-in to give the funding that is necessary, for cybersecurity, because everything nowadays has a cybersecurity dimension. Because we are all using computers, everything is being digitized. When our networks, our computers suffer a ransomware, for example, nothing would happen. All the computers will be locked. So cybersecurity has come to the forefront now. So, how did they do it in Ghana? That's what I want to know, Mark, what Marcos thinks, to win senior management buy-in. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Babuka. Jao, over to you, Marcos.
Thank you. Well, I'm not part of Ghana CERT or CERT Ghana. But what I can say about it is the funny issue is government has an interest in the cybersecurity. The first step was to pass a bill to tax all the communication we do, mobile phone, every call is taxed. So some percentage was taken out of it to fund the CERT, to fund cybersecurity in general in Ghana. With COVID-19, that tax has been removed as a measure of making things easier for Ghanaians. But they will pass a bill through the parliament. Now, I'm talking as someone who knows how to find a set. If you ask me this question, my question back to you is, which service are you providing? Is it critical to your constituency? Because what I've noticed in general is, she said, national sector, where we want to do this, we want to do that, without grounding it on any rationale. If you are able to identify the services and make a business case out of it, that is, prove that if you don't do this, this is what will happen, this is what will happen, I'm afraid you talk, they will not listen to you. But if they see the real importance of the services you are providing, well, they will definitely cooperate. I like telling friends, IT guys, that we are not good at making business case. We are not good at making a business case. So we need to have that skills. But the bottom line is to identify scientifically the services you are providing. I use the word scientifically. You don't just get up and say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. The service you are providing should be aligned with the core business of your organization. Since you are a national set, it must be clear to your management that these are the services you are providing. So if you don't do this, this will happen. I remember, when I started working at the University of Ghana, I had a mentor. He told me, Marcus, these people, they don't understand IT at all. What he normally does is, when it's time for academic board or examiners board, he will go and then removes a part in the printer, because those days you were to go to examiners board or admission board, you were printing the broadsheets with applicant or graduate details. So you do that, you just remove the how do we call it, a part in the printer, so the printer will not print again. So you tell them that, look, this is, I told you, we need this, we need that. Because you refuse to do this, it has affected the printer. It was a bad technique he was using, but it was working for him. It is not good. But what I'm saying through this is, you must find a rationale, the justification, and tell them that if they don't do this, this will happen. And then say it in a way that it will shake their post. Don't give money, it will shake their post. Maybe the president of the country, we can fire them, because if at the end of the day they do the investigation and they say, oh, he refused to give money, then he'll quickly sign the check for you. So that is what I think you can do.
Thank you very much, Marcus, for that contribution.
But I haven't said anything. I haven't said anything.
No. I also think by the time our cybersecurity bill comes to forth at the National Assembly, I'm sure some of the things that Mr. Jao raised will also be answered. I can see Halaji, then you have Mahmoud Yang, then our Shevin scholar Fatu Sengo. So Halaji, over to you. Halaji CC.
Hi, Ponce. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the presenters. I think we've had very informative presentations. With regard to the question that the other guy asked with access and the like, so
Ayub, the guy based in Indonesia. Ayub,
I've seen Robin also mentioned the idea of internet exchange point. Yes, we do have an internet exchange point installed, and it was supported by Internet Society. I'm sure you're aware of that. Some other issues that I believe is connected or linked to the cost of internet is with regard to certain taxes, perhaps policies we need to look into. But focusing on this point, that's some other area the chapter can engage the stakeholders on to see where we come in, because access is definitely part of our area of interest. Again, with regard to the other question for gmCSIRT being part of AfricaCERT, have already taken steps. Jean Robert actually registered to attend the webinar, but I think he got some engagements at the latter end and was happy for Marcos, that Marcos is around to handle the rest of the things. But I believe taking it from there, there is a lot of collaboration on the pipeline, especially in the area of capacity building, that the chapter is definitely willing to support in terms of, especially as far as this subject matter is concerned, cybersecurity and encryption. We will definitely bring on some updates on that just after this webinar. We've started some discussions with Robin in the background, which we are definitely going to take up at Internet Society level to see how we can help in bringing more capacity building on cybersecurity. Lang also contacted me that he sent you some questions that he would want you to look at. We have a group attending this webinar from the hub, their group there, very exciting. So if you could just look at that, but we also have time constraint and we have Max coming to give us update on gmCSIRT, and we probably would have the president of Senegal, ISOC Senegal, who would like to have 2 minutes comment on this webinar. Thank you.
I have max 15 minutes, so Mahmoud, please, short question, and Fatou, short question, please. Mahmoudian.
Thank you all for having me. Poncelet, if you don't mind, I just want to introduce, before asking the question, I am Maunya, a member of the University of the Gambia Cybersecurity Students Association. So I think most of you, this is the first time you're going to hear this name. We are actually working on to establish this Cybersecurity Students Association in the University of the Gambia, which is more of to train people, but also to provide opportunities to students coming up in the field of cybersecurity. So my question goes to Marcos. I was about to ask, how best can you form a CSIRT at the university? A functioning CSIRT, not only a CSIRT, but a functioning CSIRT that will be able to deliver services throughout the university or go beyond academic area. Thank you.
Yeah, Marcos, over to you.
How to form a CSIRT in the academia, if I understand you well.
Yes, that's the question in a university setting. Yeah.
The first step is, well, the identification of the services you are going to provide. Because a CERT is to provide services. That's the first steps. Well, to do that, you definitely need a group of people who understand what is CERT. And then you brainstorm, you develop an implementation plan. And in that implementation plan, you need a buy-in of your management. That's why you develop your business plan to convince the top management. Well, it's a complete process that you have to go through. I can't tell you all now, but what I can confidently tell you is you must identify services you want to provide to your constituency. And based on that, you identify your mission, your services, the tools, policies and procedure, funding, how to fix all those things. I don't mind, you can take my contact from Ileleji, send me an email. I have other presentation that deals with this one thoroughly. I mean, the creations. If you speak French, I have another presentation in French. I did a presentation in Senegal last month. I trained some people on how to create CSIRTs. It was a training on 3 days. I can share those slides with you. Thank you.
All right, that's understood. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Fatu Senghor, please.
Good morning. My name is Fatu Senghor, currently studying cybersecurity here in the UK. My question goes to
you have
Gambia.
to emphasize, Fatu, you are a grad student, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my question goes to Gambia SAT. Like we have seen in Gambia, Nigerians and other nationalities using Gambia as a gateway to hack other countries. And also financial institutions are becoming more vulnerable, you know, because there are instances where a bank will get hacked and they have this fear of reporting it for the sake of losing their customers. And cyberbullying has also been the order of the day. So my question is what are the plans that Gambia SAT has in ensuring that the public are educated about these illegalities that are involved, the ethical issues, and also helping the government institutions, you know, in protecting their integrity?
Thank you, Fatu. I think I will leave that question to when Max is speaking. You know, so Max will just bundle everything up as one. I want to give a shout out to Peter Prom, the IT director from the Central Bank of the Gambia. You talked about financial stuff like that, Fatu Senghor. So I will say all those things are all addressed, and it is also good to have specifics when we work with. It's good to always work with data. So when you're giving specifics of something in terms of Gambia, not to be very generic, we have to be specific. This is what, if you're talking of cyber bullying, what data do you have available? If you're talking of financial crimes, what data? Because data is very important in this aspect. But people will, as I said, Max will talk later. I also want to give a shout out to Madam Anna Sekasen, AFNOG trainer since 2005, and she has also been involved with the Network Startup Resource Center, running out of the University of Oregon since 2014. And she's one of our brilliant minds in network engineering with QCell. So it's also always good to give a shout out to our contemporaries here doing a great job. So not that we don't have people with the expertise and the knowledge, but the whole idea, whether you look at Robin, who just had to leave because he has another meeting, is about collaboration. We have to collaborate. Marcus talked about it. We have to collaborate. We have all these groups coming up. You have the IT Association of the Gambia coming up. For me personally, when you see the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance and you see the gmCSIRT, you see ITA, you already have all those institutions, and you see ISOC helping in building capacities in these areas. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to talk more to each other and work. Because at the end of the day, it's for the common good of the Gambia. Jibril Low, take the question and then over to Max. Your question, Jibril.
Good morning or good afternoon to everyone. I'm Assistant Commissioner Jibril Low, Head of IT at the Gambia Police Force, but for the past 2 years, I'm currently working on secondment with the United Nations African Union Mission in Darfur as a technical expert, where my focus is more on how to support the Sudan Police Force IT matters. And currently we're working on systems to see how best their IT infrastructure, ranging from complaint management system, resource information system, and a range of other systems. And also we're currently developing a digital control room for them that will enable them to share security information of the Darfur region, which is, as you may all know, is currently affected by war, and in which UNAMID is playing a central role, and we will bring out very soon. And then definitely, I think I will have to kill two birds with one stone here. One of them would be a little concentration on how best we could see, because part of the support we've been giving to the Sudanese police force and my understanding of their IT infrastructure, more specifically Darfur, is not Sudan in general, but we concentrate a lot on Darfur. I know specifically, definitely, when it comes to implementation of cybersecurity, more specifically when it comes to the police, how they make good use of investigations of research when they have cyber crimes reported to them, it's definitely, I can say they are nowhere yet. And then indeed, I will see how best, if there could any possibility or any advice or any assistance that could also be offered by anyone on this platform, or we could also, I will need definitely to see how best they could be engaged, and maybe in future meetings or whatsoever, their IT people could also be part of it if there is a possibility for that. And as we know, that I think right now support for them might be easy, as they've already been excluded from the terror list. That has affected them a lot. I'm very happy that today I'm able to use Zoom to join without a VPN. It has always been the case. To join any other meeting, I have to use, so I have to use a VPN in order to join because of the sanction. But I think, thank God, most of the things now we are able to access online since after America or US lifted the sanction on them. And also back home, also definitely with ISHOC, the Ministry of Information at the Gambia Police Force, in which in a few months' time, hopefully I'll be back home. Definitely, we've been having collaborations. And then I think we'll also want to know other countries like Ghana and other countries, how their police force have been cooperating with the other institutions, see how best cyber security problems are tackled. I think we need more advice on that and see how best collaborate more. My team is also on the ground. They are also currently joining the meeting, see how best we can share and know much about, and see how best we can have assistance to see how best we can move the police force forward. I think that's why I said that I would like to kill two birds with one stone. Thank you so much, and I think this is a great meeting. Despite all the busy schedule, I have to take time to see how best I can be part of this meeting together with my assistant who is online, see how best we can learn from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jibril. I'll hand over to Max and he'll answer most of your questions. And it's very good. You're calling in from Darfur as an assistant commissioner there in Western Sudan. And one thing you should note, your internet connection will continue improving. It's not really this about getting out of the sanctions. Israel has just Sudan has just recognized Israel. Yeah, so Sudan recognizing Israel is a big deal. Israel are the biggest blockers of what has happened with Sudan being on the terrorist list. So you are all set now. So you will be communicating well without a VPN. So Max, over to you. A lot of questions to answer. Thank you, Jibril, and we'll see you soon at home. Max.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ponce, once again for the great moderation. And I also want to say hello to all my colleagues and our able speakers who came before me. The time is short. I'm not going to spend too long. I just want to go ahead and share a screen, a presentation that I will run through quickly. I was also supposed to talk a little bit about encryption and this cryptography, but I'll stick to introducing the gmCSIRT and giving a quick outline to show where we are at right now. So if you don't mind, just a second, let me share a screen with you. Okay, please let me know if you can see the screen clearly.
Yes, you're good to go, Max. You're good to go, Max. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. As you know, the gmCSIRT refers to the Gambia Computer Security and Incident Response Team. And there on the screen, you see the logo. I think it's well represented for a CERT with the flag and all. The whole CERT idea started out with ITU conducting a readiness assessment in 2011 in Dakar. And then immediately after that, there were some maturity models and some other activities, consultations that were done to kickstart the setup of a CERT in Gambia. After about 2 or 3 years, ITU decided to chip in some funds, and the government of the Gambia also came up with counterpart funds for the Gambia. Pura also, with an arrangement with the ministry, ended up funding the operating part of the CERT and the actual setup as it is right now. Quickly, so that we're all on the same page regarding the CERT in Gambia here, as Marcus aptly explained, we're in tune with the normal operations of CERT, especially in the African context, which generally, of course, applies mostly across the world, apart from some few nations that we're aware of. The main rules include the protection of critical information infrastructure. And these are institutions that the ICT systems, if they fail or if there are some serious problems or stoppages in operation, would affect either a huge chunk of our population or the entire country itself. To assure security, and then also to raise awareness, training, and education as far as the cybersecurity environment is concerned in the country. Also to provide forensic services. Then we will also do research on cybersecurity, gather statistics, and also keep this information in a repository for others who do research, provide them with answers, statistics, and other relevant data to do with cybersecurity. In governance and legislation also, we participate in all fora that is to do with laws, regulations, enforcement, and things like that, that will help the cyber security environment of the country. Then for international cooperation, the gmCSIRT will be the main body that will be representing Gambia in terms of cybersecurity to external bodies for all corporations, especially escalated security issues. Why did we need the gmCSIRT? A few points are shown there, which of course, right after the presentation, I'll be sharing these slides. I don't want to delve always too much time, but basically the CERTs exist to protect essential services and critical national information infrastructure. Contain ICT contagion or infections where they happen, and to enable quick recovery, and to ensure the continuity of society in times of crisis is another. And of course, to ensure that investors coming from abroad feel comfortable to dump their millions in a country where there is a sign of at least dedication to securing our cyberspace, and that people or hackers from abroad do not just wade into our systems and remove funds nilly-willy, or steal or bring down our key institutions as they choose to. Improve resistance to disruption, of course. And then we train the constituents who are the institutions that we support. These are identified. I think right now we've got about 95 or so institutions across the board, from government to private institutions. We've already started doing quite a lot of training recently. About a couple of weeks or so, we finished half of the constituents, training them on cybersecurity and certain key elements. We will be embarking on another one very soon as well. The key benefits of having a CERT also are listed here. As I mentioned earlier, there's the apex or focal point of contact within and beyond Gambia. For example, if there are incidents happening with some of these social media platforms, such as Facebook and the others, the CERT will be the point of authority who will be able to issue seize and notice and take down orders, they call them, for some of these incidents to mitigate any damage that will happen. And also the point of contact for external CERTs, and such as regional and other country CERTs for cooperation, as mentioned by Marcus again. Okay, and some of the other points, of course, minimize loss and aid with dealing, aid in dealing with legal issues that may happen during incidents, especially when the police are investigating or there are some prosecutions. The CERT will most probably be called upon to assist. We will also be doing, again, a lot of awareness, education, and training. All of these activities in collaboration with the civil society organizations, of which principally in Gambia, we have the GCSA, the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance. We've worked with them and we will continue to work with them as part of our outreach arm to train and reach the general population, especially in upcountry areas, and of course the local regions as well. The critical information infrastructure holders sectors that we have identified are classed under these subheads. Because we have the government ministries and departments, then there's the banking and finance sector, then the information and communication sector containing the ICT companies like banks, the mobile network operators, ISPs, and things like that. Then there's power and energy. We have the health services sector. There's security and defense, which seems to be the area that a lot of people who are present in this forum are interested in. This would be something that covers the police, the military, the immigration, and all other security institutions in the Gambia. They would also be under our support. Then there's transportation, which is air, sea, and land. All these sectors, in the near future, we aim to help them set up sector CERTs. They will have their own sector CERTs, and then they will feed into the gmCSIRT, which will be the apex body once again, supporting the sector CERTs where things can get escalated to us if needed. The main reason for this is that all issues to do with CERT is about trust. And when they're brought together, the same sector institutions, there's a lot of trust at that level. So as a result, there would be a lot of activities and exchange and controls at that level and assistance. And then where it cannot be resolved within that level, then it's escalated to the gmCSIRT for the action. This page also shows a list of CERT functions to assist in the promulgation of national cybercrime policies, regulations, and also enforcement. Once the cybercrime bill is passed, it becomes an act, there will be regulations that will be forthcoming from the ministry, MOICI, and then the regulator of this sector, which is PURA, will be the ones to do the enforcement. And the enforcement will be handed over to the national CERT to operate. And then, of course, assisting the sectors to set up CERTs, as I mentioned earlier. This table looks a little bit, well, much like Marcus's table, showing reactive services and proactive services. And the third column for me, I divided into artifact handling and security quality management. It's said, as he said, which I agree to absolutely, it's not going to be able to do every single activity, especially at our level, where we are not even operational yet. We're still on the rollout. We just finished the initial part of it, and we're going on next to the last stage of the rollout, which could take another few months before we are completely ready to take up more activities. We start off, of course, as a reactive CERT. We'll be issuing alerts and warnings, doing incident handling, analysis and response, vulnerability handling, analysis, they call it VAPT, pen testing and stuff like that. Then we'll be sharing security information with all our constituents as well, as even giving out alerts and assistance advice to our constituents. We'll be doing some monitoring as well on the national cyberspace. As far as infections, patterns, attacks, and things like that are concerned, we do have some tools that are very capable of detecting a lot of these, even the weaknesses on some of our constituent networks, such as misconfigurations on their switches and things like that, and we alert them to go ahead and fix those and how to do it. The reporting structure is, this is a very simple high-level structure. We have the gmCERT, headed by myself, and then I have an assistant, Mr. Jao. You heard him earlier, Babukar Jao. He's the deputy head of the CERT. And there's a committee or a board that is yet to be constituted, but probably in January we'll be done with that. It consists of members who are from different stakeholder communities. We'll try to draw from as wide a community as possible. And this committee is the kind of, board of directors. And they report to the minister, that's MOICI, and the Pura DG. Until the structure is amended later, this will be the reporting structure or the governance for the gmCSIRT or gmCERT. We had some prior engagements before where since the rest of the staff are pretty new anyway, but I've been there for a while doing this setup since about 2015, attended cyber drills and did the maturity modelings and readiness reviews, impact assessments, and even worked with the consultants and other activities by the ministry, that's MOICI, resulting in cybersecurity strategy, which was a wonderful document, and legal implementation plans and the action plans. And right now, the most recent is the cybercrime legislation, which is sitting with the cabinet for extension to the parliament for approval to become a law. Okay. There are other regional, sorry about that. Sorry about that, there's just some noise here. Okay, well, regional cooperation and capacity building, such as this one by ISOC, these are very, very critical, to the successful operation of a CERT. And we're aware of this. And of course, as part of the international community, we want to make sure that the standards that are preset before we arrive on the scene are always followed. We are members of international bodies as well, such as the AfricaCERT. We've started our application to belong, and they've also indicated that they will be sponsoring, or they introduce and sponsor members to become part of FIRST. That's the Forum for Incident Response Teams. Okay. And we will be doing a lot of cyber drills locally and abroad, and we hope very soon we'll be able to host one locally once the travel restrictions are out, just to generate more interest within the community and to show how important cybersecurity is to all our institutions. Bear with me, I'll be done soon. For 2020-21, we want to finish rolling out and activate the CSIRT function. That will be in the next year, coming up in a couple of weeks. Then we'll do more and very in-depth training for our analysts who are currently 2, but we want to augment to 3 at least for a start. Give them some very, very good training and exposure, even though they're already getting quite a lot, so that they'll be able to handle all the cybersecurity requirements nationwide, along with the hardware. We'll be engaging the constituents in the Gambia and help streamline them into different groups so that we can tackle each one differently based on the sector that they operate in. We've even had some engagement with banks, financial institutions, and next will be the security sector, working very closely with the police to ensure that they take the lead in the security sector for cybersecurity issues, especially cybercrime investigations and handling. Sensitization is another thing that we'll be doing, campaigns on radio, print press, and things like that. We'll be very soon starting awareness campaigns on radio, and as our partners, Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance will be handling the engagements with the general community. Okay. I'm proud to say that the gmCERT is the first CERT handled or rolled out by ITU, which is an institution that operates in many countries. That was rolled out by remote. And our team were able to perform extremely well, and we did excellent to ensure that everything was rolled out fine. And ITU is super happy about the accomplishments of the local team on the ground, and such that we are far ahead of schedule in our rollout, and we'll keep doing that. Some of the memberships, as you can see, ISOC here, that we will be engaging a lot. These are institutions: Council of Europe, first AfricaCERT, where Mr. Marcos is also representing. Now, this is where I was supposed to talk about encryptions and cryptography, but Mr. Robert Wilton did a wonderful job of explaining a lot of these terms, the necessity, the advantages and pitfalls on choices of encryption and cryptography. And I would just let it go. I have some differences or additions to that, but I will forward the slides or the whole PowerPoint presentation for ISOP to share. Probably immediately after the meeting. It will be with Mr. Ileleji Cisse. And this is it. And I want to thank you very much. If I didn't take too much of your time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions regarding the gmCERT. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Max. Thank you for the presentation. Very brilliant. I think you are doing a hard job. As I earlier said, starting, we look forward to which Sanusi said he'll work on, and it's also good for the gmCERT to also push it for Gambia to sign the Malambo Convention. We have no reason not to sign it, which, as Robin said, who was a consultant for the African Union, and unfortunately he had to go. We have done the hard part of the work, so we have no reason not to sign it. And as you have said, the ITU, the International Telecommunication Union, as the first UN specialized agency since 1865 to be existing, to help people to pull this off through remote collaboration in this period of pandemic. That has been fantastic. So I think we have to do more. We have to collaborate. You're reaching out. You have a small team, and you have the right stakeholders here. You have people in the like the prom. You have people like AfricaCERT to discuss. You have the various community, ISOC, Information Technology Association of the Gambia, who tomorrow will be having an open day online. So please join that open day. The new day too, they have their new executive led by Madam Biran Gillen. They'll be having an open day tomorrow starting at 4 p.m. You know, I'll just put the link there. So register at 4 p.m. And thank you, The Hub, for hosting a lot of young people, thehub.gm, our newest hub on Caraba venue, to attend this forum organized by ISOP. So The Hub, thank you for hosting a lot of young people. So Ileleji, your last closing statements, and we round up so people can go for prayers. Thank you. God bless you all. Ileleji, over to you.
Hi, Ponce. Thank you very much for the great moderation. Quite organized and impressive. I would also extend thanks to the presenters, speakers, Ruben, Marcos, Max. That was a very, very brilliant update. And we're excited that this we at least have that opportunity to see exactly what have been happening all along in the background with gmCSIRT and what plans lies ahead. It's quite inspiring. So I'm not quite sure if Idem, president of ISOC Senegal, is available for maybe just a comment. If he is not, maybe.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you, Idem. You have the floor.
Good morning,
Okay,
everyone.
sorry, I forgot about you, Adam. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
I know. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. And thank you very much, President Alhaji and our moderator. This is a great privilege. And we're seeing a lot of transformation and initiatives that are actually going on in the African continent. Initiatives such as what the Gambia chapter has demonstrated again this morning, that we are thinking about the future of internet and some of the steps that have been taken on the ground. And this is very, very much appreciated. Thank you very much, President Alhaji, and all your office that is making all these efforts and working with the partners on the ground to secure and make sure that the internet is safe, the internet is open, the internet is reliable, and people can trust that internet that really was sustainable while we're going through this pandemic. People can rely on the internet to learn. People can rely on the internet to buy. People can rely on the internet to do, to conduct their day-to-day activities. And I think that we all believe that as we come together as community, we can make things happen easily. Based on that, I really want to thank Alhaji for considering Senegal and Gambia. I've seen the work that you are doing in the domain of encryption, and we are going to be your first partners to come and join hands and work towards the future. I'm making this officially so that you know that you can count on Senegal, and that also we can count on you to make things happen. We've been working in the past with the past leadership, and this is something that we want to continue together, work together. When we work together, we become more stronger. And when we don't work together, we cannot achieve many things. We can go quickly to accomplish things, but they would not last. So I want to thank all the leadership. I want to thank those who hosted us. I see Victor online supporting this initiative in Gambia. And I wish all the best. If we do not see each other to the end of this year, I wish you all the best. And wish you also happy Tuesday for the end of year celebration. Take care of yourself, continue to protect yourself, so we shall see each other soon. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
thank you very much, Adam, and kudos to your colleagues that helped build ISOC Senegal, Alex Corentin and Maimouna Job. I think you had very good mentors in Senegal, and I'm happy this collaboration is something me, Alex Corentin, and Maimouna Job, aka Maya, talked about years ago. So I'm happy this is happening now between ISOC Senegal and ISOC Gambia. You know, so kudos to you. So Alhaji, you have already started rolling fast, Alhaji. So round up.
Thank you, Ponce. Thank you, Ponce. Thank you. I just wanted to put an emphasis on Idem's point, because we have collaborated with ISOC Senegal since the past executives, and one of the interesting parts that we have been able to see happening was at least the welcoming of some university students who left here, UTG, went to Senegal for kind of a study visit or something like that. And connecting them to ISOC Senegal made their visit quite more interesting. At least they could have that opportunity to support some critical infrastructures, and the reception that they received was very, very welcoming. To some extent, I remember some donations given to the students in form of T-shirts from ISOC Senegal that they brought back home. We made some video reports which shows a lot of excitement that they've enjoyed that trip. So these are the kind of things we look forward to. In addition to that, also some projects and capacity buildings that we will definitely roll out together. Thank you very much, Idem, and we definitely look forward to that. I want to also thank my team, Lang, Omar, Soon, Brilliant. We also have a small corner of organizers with some of the UTG students. Very, very active team. So we definitely hope that we will take this Encrypt Gambia call further and develop, perhaps come up with more face-to-face trainings, hopefully this coming year, if COVID allows us. We'll deliver more face-to-face trainings on this subject matter. Thank you very much. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Halaji. On behalf of ISOC, I can now close this ISOC Gambia, International Society of Gambia chapter. I can now close this session. I wish you all the best of the holidays season. Stay safe. COVID is still around. The vaccine has not yet got here. Stay safe this holiday periods into the New Year's, and you will continue to support your ICT ecosystem. And I will leave you with the statement of Robin that he said at the beginning. Encryption secures your daily routine. So stay well, protect yourself, know that everything you do, encryption is part of it. We're all shopping online, we're all doing several things online. Be on your guard. And there was something Marcus mentioned about the shoulder. He used the word, is it like shoulder monitoring and stuff?
Shoulder surfing.
Shoulder surfing, exactly. A lot of people do it, those people that like peeping when they were in school, you will know that they are now big peepers around. Anyway, have a blessed day. Best wishes of the Christmas and New Year. God bless you all. Thank you, ISOC. Bye for now. Enjoy.